Okay. The Azirian levies extract revenge for Al-Qurna. In retaliation for the murder of the Azirians and the destruction of their property, the Azirian local government has sent out the local Azirian levies to exact revenge in the Mardan, burning down multiple villages and driving the marsh Arabs further into the swamps and marshes of the southern Mesopotamia. Their actions show a clear intent to forcibly dislocate the native populations in order to acquire more fertile land. The Wali and Basra has requested confirmation of the government to disband the Azirian levies, as he fears that further actions could lead to a massacre rivaling the Lebanese Civil War, which took place only a few decades ago. However, he also sees in this a challenge, an opportunity to weaken the autonomy of the Azirians and hasten the full integration to the new Ottoman society. So, should we disband the levies, or should we leave them where they are, and rather cynically see this as an opportunity to Ottomanize the locals? What do we think? Disband or leave be? And vote what is going to be the consequence for your actions, chat. Sending troops like that to an area obviously maintaining some tensions between the two societies. A people who believe in an eye for an eye. Love the division icon, sand sharks. We had that icon in the Greece game. The Paradox team game where I was with Florrie and Rose. And Paradox gave us a mission which was basically to make our troops as like sand based as possible, so we named all of our troops like sand surfers and things like that, and that was the icon for one of them. I don't remember which though. I think I like renamed my submarines to sand marines or something like that. Alright, Leave B came in with a 32%, however disbanding came in with a 68%, so we will disband, and Basra will become increasingly angry with us. And Abu Dhabi, let's go back to civilian oversight for all of you. And Abu Dhabi is going to need probably local police. Oh, a bit more, secret police. Yep. And Iraq, oh man, these guys are seriously pissed. Okay, that's because there was no garrison yet. That should start to recover. Shimon the 11th Asai pleads for the preservation of the Azirian levies. The Patriarch of Babylon and the de facto leader of the Azirian community, Shimon the 11th Ashai, has pleaded for permission to maintain the Azirian levies. Without them, he says, his people will be fully left to the mercy of the Muslim gendarmerie forces and have no way to prevent the marsh Arabs from murdering more Azirians. That's not true, because our garrison is still there. The only ones who were told to be disbanded were the levies, but we did send them support. Doubt. Very, very much doubt. Whether the game can recognize that, I don't know. In fact, it says right there, nonsense! The Ottoman gendarmerie protects all, regardless of religion, or leave them be. So what do we think? Do we believe this guy? Or we say, fine, we'll allow them. Get your votes in. Vote, vote, vote. You're right, it is the 21st. Shimon the 21st. That is a lot of Shimons. Katie Cat wants me to drink some tea. I think that can be arranged. And while I'm drinking this, I'm going to go, hey, chat. If you haven't followed yet, you definitely should. Because being a follower on the channel means you get to see that I devour more tea. And who wouldn't want to see that? Press X to doubt. Yeah, exactly. That one I'm a little bit unsure about. And I see that chat is kind of with me on this one. He's like, please, let me keep my soldiers so I can massacre more people. Pretty please. I've not done massacring yet. Leave them be. 9% of you said that we should leave them be, and 91% of you said, no. So, no, it is. And name redacted. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone what your name is. Secret is safe with me. If we let you kill each other, we can't tax you. Exactly. The foundation of Arab Organization for Education and Development. Building on the loosened restrictions imposed upon education curricula and with the timid acceptance of the government for various ethnic and linguistic groups in the empire to preserve their own cultures under the umbrella of Ottomanism, a variety of Arab intellectuals announced the creation of the AOED earlier this week in Beirut. The city, already serving as the modern capital of the Arab community in our empire, furthermore also lies closely to Mount Lebanon, which the founders of the organization will extend an olive branch to the Maronites. Starting with limited resources, the network has opened up its first schools in Beirut, Jerusalem, Haifa and Aleppo, with hopes to extend this further into Greater Syria and Iraq. Furthermore, there are talks with the government to offer more Arab courses and subjects in the universities of Damascus and Beirut, but the Central Ministry for the Education has thus far not promised anything. Many Iraqi teachers and notables have furthermore embraced the ideas behind the organisation, but fears of further Syrian dominance in the Mashriq have caused many to prefer creating a smaller organisation than unite with Beirut. A most joyous occasion. Give me that sweet, sweet free stability. Also, we have hit sufficient war support where we could get partial mobilization if we ever get the political power for that. Ooh, we're actually pushing them here. That's interesting. Oh, okay. We're at war with Aziria. Okay. Hey, camels. I got a little job for you. In response to the Ottoman decision to abolish the Azirian levies after a retaliatory attack on the force of Medan, and with the last vestiges of the Azirian autonomous zone in Basra under direct threat, the Patriarch of the Azirian Church of the East and the de facto ruler of the Azirian state, Shimon the 21st Ejai, has declared the independence of Aziria. Claiming that it no longer possible to safeguard the safety of his people within the Ottoman framework, the Patriarch has called on their former allies in the Entente to ensure the preservation of both their state and entire culture. Will this mark a new beginning for the Azirian people? So far, it's just us. Continuing to maintain that the levies are the only thing between life and death for the Azirian people, Rab Kalia Dawid Damun Shimon has rescinded the order from the Wali in Basra and has mobilized his troops. Backed by the Church of the East, Shimon has declared Basra an autonomous region within the empire and has demanded immediate withdrawal of the Wali's forces from the region, self-government of the Azirian people and the right to collect taxes independently, and further protection from the Azirian Church from the Shiite discontent. The Wali in Basra has, in response, mobilized the city's gendarmerie to disband the levies by force if necessary. However, he finds himself substantially outgunned and outnumbered in the city. In Constantinople, the Grand Vizier is furious at this betrayal and has demanded all Mesopotamian troops be mobilized and put down the Azirian insurrection before foreign intervention in their favor can occur. Yes. That's a bit of a sudden and actually not that inevitable betrayal. We're going to go and create some new air wings, which unfortunately are going to be just bog standard untrained ones. And you'll fly there. How far are these guys? I'm going to keep troops on the borders with Iran, because I just don't trust them. And they're immediately going to go swarming out. Now this is where we're going to see if the change to the air wings has actually taken place. Because those air wings should not have just died. They didn't. Good. In fact, we have a couple new air wings which are going to be brought in from Oh gosh, all the way over here. Yep, all the volunteers also come home. Speaking of volunteers, we need to bring in the generals. Who was the better one? You, because you don't have the experience penalty. Then we're going to bring the Mountaineer back to that force. And you're going to be in charge of that force when you arrive. Which shouldn't be too long. You're on the train. Choo-choo! Yes, please, push out. Spread yourselves even thinner. Dominican Republic declared war on Haiti. That scared me a little bit there. Clash in the Arab Gulf. Tensions between Constantinople and Tehran reached a new high this week as the Persian customs detained a Dubai flagged Jalbut on his travel to the island of Greater Thumb, sparking immediate outrage from the entire population of the Trucial coast. In a rare display of unity for the region, a squadron of the Ottoman fleet was dispatched to the region and anchored just before the coast of the Persian city of Linga, sending an ultimatum to the Persian government to immediately release the passengers who were travelling under the protection of the Sultan Khalif. Escalation immediately brought forth a salvo from the Ottoman fleet, after which the white flag was hoisted on the shore. Whilst the safe passage of Ottoman subjects in the Persian Gulf has thus been reassured, by force, many are seeing this as yet another sign of the nearing confrontation between the two former enemies. With unrest rising in Palestine and friction in the Kurdish frontier, it may even seem that this confrontation is coming sooner rather than later. Oh, I know there's a opening. Kind of waiting for my camels to get into position. I may actually be able to win this without firing a shot. Because they have expanded themselves way too far. There are German units here, but they're not fighting. Oh, they had a man in. That's okay. Yeah, I think I'd prefer you didn't do that, honestly. I'm not going to let you just cut me off like that. Who do you think I am? The Empire celebrates Epiphany. A Christian holiday known as the Three Kings Day in Western Christianity, Epiphany is one of the most sacred holidays of the Orthodox faith, which constitutes the majority of the Christian population. In Constantinople and Smyrna, the holiday is celebrated most openly by the symbolic Great Blessing of the Waters, wherein the Patriarch of the Greek Orthodox Church throws a wooden cross into the water of the Golden Horn. A group of pious swimmers will subsequently endure its icy waters to retrieve the cross and deliver it to the Patriarch. Not just the Christians celebrate this day, however, as the blessing of Muslim fishing ships occurs on the same day and is performed throughout the Empire. We will honour the Son of God. Alright, now we're going to pile in the pressure. And we just got the upgraded fighters. Now we can get the upgraded close air support. Beautiful. This guy is surprisingly tough. The abandoned property laws As the deportations of the Armenians and the Greeks increased during the Welsh Creek and the death count started to ramp up, their possessions were usually left behind and confiscated by the local Muslims. To deal with the growing amount of abandoned houses and other properties, they were ultimately placed under the regulations of the abandoned property law and made possession of the state until the original owner could return and prove his ownership. During the war, however, these properties were used as a payment and enticement for the local Kurds and other Muslims for their contribution to the war and the deportations in specific. As the war came to an end and many of the Armenians deported along with the Homs, Hammer, Damascus route returned to Sicilia, the new owners of these properties were evidently less interested in returning them. A commission was sent from Constantinople to solve the issue and peacefully assist in the restitution of these properties, but heavy opposition from the local Muslim residents, boosted by the efforts of the local CUP leaders such as Taska de Abdullah, Kethuzdai, Hussein Semil Bey, Mahmut Agazad Ali Effendi, the Kurd Hasser Osman Aga, and Hafiz Sahin Effendi, ultimately forced them to withdraw despite the pleas of the Central Service of Armenian Repatriation. The Armenians in question would ultimately be painted as traitors to the Ottoman Empire, enemies of the state and willing collaborators of the Entente occupation of 1819 to 1919. The Armenian dispute never stopped fighting for restitution, however, and with their hopes invested in the HIF to finally give them their land back, they have seen the recent sales of Miri land as an opportunity to receive a fair compensation for the losses during the war. Many Muslim deputies, however, are firmly opposed to these ideas, members of the OHF often going so far as saying that this would be their reward for the treachery during the war. This has prompted the Armenian deputies to lose their patience with the coalition as their inability to take a decisive stance on the issue has now led to an ultimatum. Either their peoples are recompensated or all Armenians will withdraw from the coalition. So, what do we think we should do? Should we compensate the Armenians for stealing their land? Or not? And yes, this is very much deportation. There was no deportation about this. And in fact, I'm going to put abandoned in quotation marks too. Oh wow, this really pisses off the Turkish nationalists. You know what? Fuck you guys. We're just going to give that back. I'm making a stance on this right now. We're giving that back. And we are also going to make sure that the nationalists don't hate us too much. Let's go ahead and loosen that. 238, otherwise I lose the progress on my Sublime Federation. Try that again. 254, that will do it. Let's have you go and carve up a little bit behind them so all of these just get completely surrounded and destroyed. The rare Mordred F-bomb. Yeah, that's one thing which I'm not going to mess around with. Genocide is not something you screw with. No. Conflict has arisen in the Ottoman Parliament today between the Kurdish, Arab and Turkish representatives from the flow basin of the Euphrates. With a length of 2,735 kilometers and a basin affecting no less than 673,000 kilometers squared of our land, the river defines the lives of all on its banks from the city of Basra to deep in Anatolia. It's the length that's given rise to the lively debate in Parliament as the Commission set up Aleppo to establish clear guidelines in the usage for irrigation, trade, power, has found itself in conflict with similar structures set up on both up and downstream. In traditional Ottoman parliamentary fashion, the conflict is not so much about the work done by the Commission, but rather the sectarian background of the chairman. His chairman, a Christian from the city of Aleppo, has been deemed unacceptable for the task by the delegation of Elazig, who demanded the position be filled by a proud Sunni Turk. Furious debate ensued, which has placed the Parliament in a deadlock for days now. So the chairman should be Sunni, the secretary a Christian, a Sunni Turk to oversee them, or we shouldn't interfere in local affairs. So this is like the compromise option, which will cost us political power, and we lose a bunch of deputies. Sunni Turk to oversee them, we gain Turkish nationalists, but unrest flares up. or we should not interfere in local affairs. How long do I have to decide this? 13 days. You know what? I'm going to delay a decision. Because if I delay that decision, then Sublime Federation will actually finish, and then I don't really care about maintaining more than 250 until the election, which is next year. We got until October 39. The Fifth Balkan War. Although Serbia defeated in the Weltkrieg and occupied Austria for almost a decade, they were not crushed forever. Having defeated their enemies in Bulgaria and retaken Montenegro and Macedonia, Serbia looked towards the southern Slavic lands, the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Alongside their allies in Romania and Eastern Europe, the Serbians have now issued an Austria-Hungary with an ultimatum to turn over all of their claimed territories to them. The monarchy is naturally refused, so Austria is once again at war with Serbia, while still fighting Hungary. Only time will tell if they will prevail once again, or if the empire will collapse beneath the weight of the internal and external struggles. The powder keg explodes again. I reckon that this is the end of Austria. Because having Serbia, Greek and Romanian troops added to the Hungarian line? I just need to remember to actually do this. We'll have 3 days. Okay, now we're starting to put some serious pressure on Basra, so we should be able to take that soon enough. Especially as they're attacking out, which is smart. How bloody big is this unit? Oh, it's a 40 combat width. No, 20, probably. Versus my, what, 12? Oh, will you cut that out? Ah. That one I feel like should be just an immediate thing, so I'm just gonna go and... Who was that? Arab nationalists? Oh, we do actually have a ticking time bomb and beating the Azirians. I mean, we should do that pretty easily. Let's take a look. Yeah, Arab nationalists are actually being super supportive of us up until now. So we should actually have a bunch of possible support to call upon here. We do. We haven't used their tax burdens at all. So how many do I need? Oops. Scroll up. 228. So I need quite a few. Oh, you don't get a lot of deputies from this. Need 6 more. We're out of... God damn it! I need to get 13. No, 12. That would be 10. That's only 4. Here we go. That's only 8. 7. 2. 2. Where are the other really high population places? Smyrna, can't do anything there. Mugla, it's only 2. Okay, yeah, see, this is the only 14 we have, and we've done it twice already. That's a third. No, 13 will do it. I only needed 12, right? Yeah, boy! Haha! Oh, man. Really having to play some gymnastics with our economy there. Ooh. Ooh. We're basically dropping some of the smaller deputy areas for cheap political gains. Increasing taxes on those guys for cheap political gains. And then we're just taking Basra. Changing that up for tax drops in the high population areas. Formation of the Syrian Muslim Brotherhood. Inspired by events in Egypt under the leadership of the charismatic Imam Hassan al-Banna, and by the continued secularization and westernization of the empire, a small group of conservatives in Damascus have set up a Syrian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood, pledged to restore a real Arab caliphate to the Middle East and rid the region of the Western decadence. Sheikh Mustafa al-Sabti has found a listening ear in the struggling population of Homs. Subsidies from the Egyptian court for his organisation are sure to have had an impact on its membership, and thus far our intelligence has pointed out that it remained a fringe movement within Greater Syrian political climate. Disturbing. Come on, 3 more days. 3 more! Faratan, no, a cavalry guy just fell ill. Typical. But there's the victory. So Aziria, we're taking all of the states. Assuming direct control. The Azirian revolt has been crushed. Unsurprisingly, the Azirian revolt has been crushed by a vastly superior army. Patriarch Shimon the 21st Azrai has ordered his government to lay down their weapons. As sources say, he was spotted embarking on an unmarked Indian vessel bound for Delhi just before the fall of Basra. With this action, no organised resistance remains in southern Iraq, and the Ottoman might is once again victorious. Gain stability, we annex Aziria and abolish the Azirian Autonomous Zone, which are definitely doing. Shimon, we should have shot the man. He was an idiot. Yev Terry, thank you very much for the Prime subscription. Welcome to the Maudlings. Good to have you joining us.